This is a big problem in modern society, and I'm surprised not as many people as you would think are talking about it. The extent of social isolation, the extent of us kind of becoming more introverted, growing into our shells, and not going out and seeing other people and being stuck at home and doing the same things over and over again. All these types of things lead to a society where we are so disconnected. And I'm going to go over why. Why are people so socially isolated? Why are people so awkward in social situations? What has happened to mess us up, to mess all of our psychological things up in such a terrible way? Because we as humans are social creatures. There should be no reason why you go into a social situation and you don't want to just go and talk to people, talk to strangers, even if you don't know them, just to go meet other people. Why is this a thing? Why are we, like as a society, moving further and further into social isolation? This is a bad thing, and it's a terrible thing, and I'm going to go over the extent of the problem and how bad it is today. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for clicking on this video. I hope that it is something that you enjoy. So, welcome to the 365 Podcast. I make a podcast episode every single day for 365 days. You will be hated for speaking the truth.
You definitely have like an X-ray goggles on, where you can see someone's aura.
A house divided against itself shall not stand. Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. If you want to make something of yourself, forget your political beliefs. Because different believers experience God in different ways, different non-believers need different explanations to see God as real. Things that make you angry suck you in. Satan's plan fails, right? And God's plan prevails. So I was never really an extrovert. Like I did a test when I remember I was in grade 7. And I did a test about like personality test basically. Like, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? And there's a bunch of questions. And at the end of it all, I ended so far in the middle that like you couldn't have been more middle. You couldn't have been more in the middle between introvert and extrovert, which there's a term for that. It's called ambivert. And that's what I basically consider myself, because in some points I'm very extroverted, but other points I'm very introverted. This has always been who I am. This is this is nothing new to me. The fact that you have like, there's a side of me that is introverted. There's a side of me that like is a little bit socially awkward at times. Because I know that I'm pretty much fall right in the middle. Like if I'm in the right place, the right environment, the right situation to be extroverted, obviously I worked door-to-door sales and I was pretty good at it. You have to be very, very outside of your shell to do well at that. And I did well at that. So that is a moment for me. Obviously I was a captain of a lot of my soccer teams. You have to be a leader and a person that can go out and talk and help others on your team in that way, in an extroverted way. And I was able to do that as well. But at the same time, when you're by yourself in your house, you're introverted. You want to stay in your house. You want to double down on that. You want to play the video games or whatever it is that you're dealing with. And I've seen both sides. So if the environment is there for me to be extroverted and for me to be kind of out there, I'm pretty good at doing it. Like I'll step up to the occasion. But when the environment's not there, or if it's up to me to create that environment on my own, I find that I lean more into like the kind of socially isolated thing sometimes. That's why I make it such a huge point to get out of the house every day, because I think sometimes your house can be your prison, like your mental, socially isolated prison if you're not really careful about how you do things. Sometimes it can be that bad, and you got to get out, and you got to go out, just get out of the house to do something, right? Like I was never the type of person that would just talk to random strangers like on the subway or something like that. I actually knew people, like I know people like that, where like there was one time where we were on a subway and someone had like some boots and my friend, he complimented the lady's boots. And it was just like a pure compliment of it. It's like, I wouldn't really like do that, but like that, those are true extroverted people that like they're able to just not really care and not like be able to be social in every situation. That's really what it means to be extroverted. But I find that so many people now are introverted. So many people now are awkward. So many people now are isolated more than they should be. And this specific thing of like trying to avoid the social interaction, it's being introverted too. It's true. It's what it means to be an introvert. But were we always this introverted as a society? Definitely not. Definitely not. And I think there are many different things that have led to this happening. And it's not just because of like social media and stuff. Obviously, that's a factor. Like it goes without saying, really. But I think like as I said before, the way I see it is I can sometimes fall into those patterns, and I have to purposefully be conscious enough to break the pattern and focus more on like getting out there more and breaking through. But like when I talk to people, sometimes it's like, yeah, I have that internal feeling of like not wanting to talk to people or not wanting to kind of be out there and extra, but I have to push through it. And when I am kind of out there, I am still pushing through like this internal feeling of like fear of talking to people, right? And it's a very strange feeling, but it's a feeling that I push through, but a lot of people can't push through. And a lot of people like will just double down in their isolation, in their introversion. But I don't think it's natural introversion. I don't think we were all born. Maybe some people definitely were born with a more like kind of timid, shy type of demeanor. A lot of people were born like that, and you can see like how you were as a kid probably relates in some way to how you are now as an adult. But there are a lot of people that were not born that way, like that were so out there and great as kids, and then grew up and now what happened, right? They've fallen into the shell, they've fallen into the trap, let's say. I think the biggest reason for this trend is the COVID pandemic. Like it's not really talked about, but it's like, yes, even if we're 6 years out from the actual beginning of it, which is crazy, by the way, like crazy how fast that time's flown. But because we're 6 years out from it, it has ruined a lot of people's lives. It has especially a lot of young people, right? Imagine you're there for like almost 2 years in some countries, at least 1 year, almost two in some countries. It's like you're there by yourself in your house, not allowed to go anywhere. You're not allowed to go to the gym. You're not allowed to go do sports. You're not allowed to go to school, go to work. Work was online. Everything was on meetings. And it's like, that's not interaction at all, right? Like you're not talking to people at all. You maybe were playing games and on call with friends, but you were missing that personal, real human connection for such a long period of time that your body has gotten used to it. You'd be wearing the masks in public and you would be kind of questioning, oh yeah, why, how have we ever lived a life without masks, right? Because you were so paralyzed by the fear of everything that was perpetuated at that time. Like, for example, like I was like 14, 15. Like these are prime years of development that are getting destroyed, completely, completely just torn apart, right? From a social perspective. And I guess that's the one good thing about school. Like I personally don't have a very positive opinion on the school, the education system. But the one good thing is that you're going out there and you're talking to people, and it's the best way to make friends. It's the best way to meet new people, right? And actually have long-lasting relationships with those people. It's through school. It's through school that all these things happen. And everyone had that taken away from them in their prime years of development. Teenagers and young kids, that perhaps explains a lot of the reason why these Gen Z and Gen Alpha are so messed up, so desensitized to everything. A big reason is the fact that we went so long without interaction with other people. And what interaction with other people does is it keeps us in check. It keeps us kind of thinking about the right things. It allows us to enjoy our lives more, and it keeps us social. It keeps us thinking in some way, and it keeps us sane because we all have that internal desire for social interaction, and it keeps us sane. So to go that long without it, some people have gone kind of a little bit crazy or just a little bit ticked off, a little bit in their head, where it's just enough, where now they're so used to it that they fall back into it. And I find that myself, I have to push very hard to get out of that like isolated state, because I know the worst thing you can do in your life is isolate yourself. I have to push hard to get through it. And when I do, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. It always ends up being something good. And I've definitely gone through enough in my life where I now have learned the lessons of like, all right, yes, you do have to get out of the house every day. You definitely have to go and talk to people every day. Meet as many new people as you can throughout your days in whatever way you can. But even still, I would never go, like I wouldn't be the person to go even further above that level of consciousness, let's say, where like I'm starting to like talk to random people on the subway. That's like a whole new level of being like an extrovert, right? Being completely, literally like fearless in everything, right? I'm not there. Maybe I can get there one day, but I always find that when you're kind of just in a public setting and like you're not at work, you're not at school, you're not like doing a sport, you're not doing something where you need to talk to people and meet new people. You're just kind of, walking somewhere, or you're in the park or whatever. It's not anything like particularly specifically social. Like I wouldn't interact with anyone. I would just, go about my business, right? And it's like I feel like that's also not really good. Like if you go to, like, for example, like if you go to a park and I don't know, like someone throws a ball to the dog and it goes too far and it hits you, for example, what would you do? Like, would you just walk around the ball and pretend like it didn't hit you? That's like the ultimate introvert, I don't want to talk to anyone type of thing. And I think that's a very bad demeanor to have, because again, it's like the isolation. I don't want to interact with anyone, right? Me, I feel like I'd be the type of person, literally, like as I'm an ambivert, I would do the in-between thing, which is the ball hits you, so you grab it, you pick it up, you give it to the dog, you give it back to the owner, you have a little laugh, a little smile about it, and then you go on with it. And then the extroverted person would be like, he'd get it up, he'd maybe play with the dog, he'd talk to the owner, and like he would meet a new person and they'd get to know each other, right? Those are the kind of like the three levels, and I think that's a pretty good analogy as to where we're at in society. I think the vast majority of people would literally like not even do any of it, like not even grab the ball and give it back to the dog. They would just like walk around it and like pretend like it didn't happen, not breaking the barriers, the social barriers that need to be broken, right? And we all have a desire for it. That's the problem, is that it's like it's not spiritually fulfilling. It's not anything that God tells us to do, to just be there and sitting in your house all day doing nothing, being a basement dweller. That was a term that really hit me hard. I was watching a podcast and he was talking about how like some guys' kids were basement dwellers. And that is, as much as I'm recording this episode in a basement, that sits with me very deeply. That it's like, okay, I don't want to be the type of person that is stuck in their basement, living in the mom's basement, the cliche of that. I don't want to be that type of a person. So the only way you don't be that type of a person is to get out of the house and be out of the house as much as you can, and talk to other people, and so be sociable in as many ways as you can. Like I recently, like a few weeks ago, I went to like a social event with my friends. I was really trying to get them to go. Like they really didn't want to go, and we were putting it off, and then finally, like we went, and we probably weren't as social as we should have been. We definitely had we talked to a few people. Like it wasn't like we just sat there on our own. We talked to a few people. We had a few good conversations, but it wasn't anywhere near as out there as we were. Obviously, I guess we're building up to it. But the point is, it's like to go to this social event is like it was this big thing, right? But I want to do more of these things, because to break the barriers and like meet new people, there's always a barrier you have to break. But I think because of COVID, because of our phones, our devices, our addictions to the screens, and because of all the isolation that it kind of perpetuates, it leads us to being crawling deeper into our shells. And it's a big problem. And then sometimes it also leads to the actual type of interaction. Sometimes you push through that fear and you're awkward about it, right? You're awkward. You're a little bit autistic about it. Not because you're autistic. It's just because your mind has just been kind of smushed and destroyed a little bit because of COVID, because of our screen addiction. And it's like sometimes you get into a social interaction and you're awkward about it, right? That's why so many less guys approach girls and catcall and that kind of stuff. It's kind of gone away because we're all so scared now. We're just so scared to break those barriers for whatever reason. Fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It's a fear of some kind. And that is, that's the devil putting that in you. And it's like a lot of people crumble to it. And that's why it's not everyone. There's definitely a lot of people that are still super sociable. There are a lot of people that are willing to break those barriers. And I met a guy in Spain when I was in Spain that he actually was kind of introverted in his ways, in kind of how he interacted. It felt like he was a little bit timid, but he would go and talk to girls. Like we would turn around and he would see this beautiful blonde chick and he would just go and start talking to her. And I'd be like, what the hell? Like, how did that happen? I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I wouldn't even I'd be surprised more than anything. Be like, what the hell happened? So there's still a lot of people like that, where it's like they break the barriers and for them it's easy. That's good. But I think we need to kind of spread the message of the fact that that's okay. And that's actually better for us. It's better for our mental health to talk to more people, to talk to new people, to hear new perspectives, to have good conversations, whatever it be about, whether it's about the gym, whether it's about sports, whether it's about something deeper, whether it's about faith and religion and God, whatever the conversation may be about. It's just to allow that barrier to be broken, that you're no longer isolated, you're no longer awkward, you're no longer introverted, you're able to get out there and you're able to break that barrier, meet the new person and talk to them and have a good time and bond with them in some way and to have that human connection, whether it's a romantic thing or just like with a friend or with a new friend, with someone you just met. And you're not going to do it staying at home. Like online and kind of, talking to people online friends type of thing, it tries to replace that human connection, but I think it really does fail. It fails in replacing that real human connection. It's to actually stand with someone face to face and talk to them. That is the real true human connection. And like, I think I'm talking about these things because it's something really important. It's something that I have felt within myself. And I think not a lot of people talk about just how, like, the reason why I introed it the way I was, even if the intro wasn't that great, I'll be honest. I introed it the way that it was because the reason why not many people talk about it is they don't talk about the fact that it was COVID and it was the staying at home for long periods of time, not being able to go out. You've been at home for so long that now you don't even want to go out. Like, you've just been so used to the new norm, which is being at home. And every time you have to push through those barriers. That's why so many people in our generation are messed up socially because of all of these things. And sometimes people are literally just like, people have a low emotional intelligence now. They can't read rooms now. Like, they'll say something, they'll say a joke or something that goes too far about something because they can't read the room. Like, these social cues, we have lost a little bit of our grasp on social cues in a way as well because of us, lacking the social interaction for such a long period of time. I think we're slowly getting back to it. Me personally, I'm slowly getting back to it. And again, I talked about it, how like I've always been like that, where it's like, if it's the right environment, I'll be out there and I'll be talking to people. But if it's not the right environment, I'll kind of I am guilty of falling into my shell a little bit. Like, obviously I'm not going to make excuses for myself, but yes, like when I had my back problem, my back actually still is a little bit stiff, which is a little bit concerning. I got to do a little bit more to fix it. But like that first day, those first couple of days were literally like every movement was hurting. I wasn't doing anything. I would literally like lie down on the bed for like pretty much the whole day, and I'd only like get up to go eat basically. And that was my day. That was my day on Saturday and Sunday. Those were my days. And then I came down here to record the very short episodes. But that was it. That was all I really did on those days. And then I look at that and I'm like, yeah, it was fun for one day to just play some video games on my phone or watch the Blue Jays play, watch a couple of movies type of thing. Like we watched the Jesus movie on Easter Sunday, of course, as well. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. It was fun for a day, but then very, very quickly it became like an emptiness. It became like this can't be what I do every single day. And that's why I have the philosophy that you gotta get out of your house at least once a day, every single day. So my point is exactly that we have fallen way too deep into this introverted, timid mindset, and it's not going to lead to anything positive. It's going to lead to us just being isolated, and isolation is the devil. Isolation is you just going mentally insane because you don't have people to talk to, and we yearn for a social connection with someone, anyone, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be romantic. We yearn as humans for a social connection, and just constantly depriving ourselves of that is depriving ourselves of life. It's depriving ourselves of fulfillment in some regard. Like, I don't think there's anything better than just a great conversation, right? Podcasts are cool, right? I love recording these episodes, but I'd love to have more people on. I've only had 2 guests on. I'd love to have more people on. But like, when it's by myself, it's cool, but it's so much better when like I have a person sitting right next to me and we're just having a laugh, talking about a bunch of different things, sometimes spiritual, sometimes deep, but other times not so deep. And it's like, yeah, like that's great. Like, and then when it's something that's not recorded, you're like, oh, we should have recorded that as a podcast. But like really sometimes in life there's nothing better than just a deep conversation, just chilling with your boys and having a laugh together, right? But that is the essence of life. There's nothing better than that. There's no better feeling than that. And there's a reason why there's no better feeling than that, because we all yearn for that social connection. We yearn for something deeper than just ourselves, something greater than just ourselves, being by ourselves in our basements, isolated from the world. So go out there, man. See the world. Meet new people. It's easier said than done. There's going to be fears. There's going to be barriers you have to break. But are you really going to grow old and be the person that is just like never going to grow up, right? You at some point you gotta work. You gotta go to school, go to university, whatever you're doing, right? At some point you're gonna have to grow up, and growing up, part of growing up is interacting with more people, being able to navigate social situations in a better way, in a more calm way rather than an awkward way. And doing that, you have to put yourself in those situations. The more you isolate yourself, the more you're just going to grow insane. You're going to kind of feel empty inside, definitely. And you're going further away from society. Like, with all, like, for example, I'll give you like one more example. Like with all the Iran war situation type of thing. It's like, it's very easy if you're literally your whole life is just consuming stuff online. It's very easy to kind of spiral out of control, thinking the world's going to end complete doomsday. Like I saw a post that was literally like, it was about crypto. And he was like, oh, I'm pulling everything out because literally the world's going to end and the Iran war is going to cause crypto to tank. And it was something so overly dramatic. And I was like, dude, if the world's going to end, like your crypto's going to be gone. I hate to break it to you. It'll be gone anyway. Right. So it's like it was such like a doomsday type of message. And it's very easy, if that's all you're looking at, to fall into that. But the way you don't fall into that is to talk to other people about it, right? To bounce your ideas off of others. Maybe someone is not as concerned about it, right? For me, that's kind of my stance. It's like if someone around me is super concerned about the Iran war, my stance is like, it's all right, man. You know what I mean? Well, my stance is actually pretty biblical. It's like, it's all right. If we all die, God will save us and Christ will come down and save us. So it's like, don't worry about it. Focus on what you can do in your own life, right? Rather than what's going on the other side of the world, which you cannot control at all. So having different perspectives allows you to kind of be centered and allows you to kind of be sane instead of kind of going insane, falling into isolation. So the reason why we are a society of introverts now is because, again, it's not everybody, but it's because of COVID. COVID's messed a lot of us up. And like now I see it in myself. I have to go do a little bit more to get into that extroverted state, that kind of talking to other people type of state that I need to get into. I have to do a little bit more to that than perhaps I used to as a kid. Maybe it's also that like childlike innocence type of thing as well. That's also probably a reason, but it's still significant for me to say that. Our screens, social media, video games. It's very easy to play video games for 5 hours straight by yourself with no one else. And it's like, that's sad. Honestly, that it's just simply sad. And I've done it myself. Every time I finish, I'm like, this is terrible. This cannot be my life every single day, right? And that is why like video games have been a very, very hot and cold, on and off type of relationship with me. Because I fall so often. When I'm playing video games with other people, it's at least a little bit better. But I still think in comparison to actually being in the room with them, talking with them face to face, it doesn't compare, being online versus being with them face to face. So in a world where we spent over a year isolated already in all of our lives, in our peak forms of development, and in a world where we're trying to replace social interaction with online interaction, even to this day, and in a world where everything from screens, from shows, from movies are designed to keep you isolated, to keep you hooked watching some content rather than going out and doing something with your life. In a world where all of those things exist, it makes a lot of sense that so many people are isolated, so many more people are introverted, so many people don't want to get out there and do social events and talk to others and meet new people. I see it in myself at times, and I have to really push through it. I'm lucky enough that I have that side of me that's able to push through it. A lot of people have abandoned that side of them. I think we all eventually have that side of us to push through those feelings, right? Like I have a friend where when we went to that social event in the beginning, before the event happened, he was like all distraught. He was like, oh, this is going to be horrible. It's going to suck. And then at the end of it all, he was actually like happy, and he like completely 180. He was like, yeah, actually, that was good. I enjoyed it. Because that's what being social and that's what talking to other people does for you. It kind of fills a little bit of a void in your heart. And it really does. That's why we're made to be social creatures. You go from being skeptical, from being the cynical guy, to being the guy that's actually appreciative of the moment, of those things that have happened. We truly do all have that kind of extroverted side in us, but it's just been kind of dormant. It's been put away for a long time because of all of these things. And I look at it, it's like, yeah, it makes sense that the world is a lot more isolated. So the message I have at the end of this episode is a message that I've kind of been beating the drum on quite a little bit in this episode and in a few episodes prior, that you got to go out there and you got to talk to new people. You got to meet other people. You got to do new things, do new experiences. And in those experiences, you talk to others, you interact with others, you meet new people. Like, even if you don't like get their Instagrams and you don't talk to them for the rest of your life, you just meet someone, you shake their hand, you ask for their names, you talk about a couple of things. Like, it could be a little bit basic, but even that is more healthy for your psyche than being by yourself. Just talking about something that's like, like you're playing a pool game with someone and you invite someone to join with you and you meet them, you talk to them, you're talking about the game, and it's really nothing else. Like, that happened where like we literally played pool and we put a bet on pool. We met each other. We don't really know much about each other except like where we're from and our names and basic things. But that still made us all feel great. And it made it, like, again, we were interacting in a bigger way than just being by ourselves. So I truly believe that every single person has that side in them, because humans are social creatures in the end. Even people that are introverts have their circle of friends that they're social with. And they will, like, I know people in my life that it's like with some people, they don't want to talk to them at all. And others, they just go crazy. Like, it's a 180. It's a night and day, basically based on the way they interact with certain people versus the way they interact with their closest friends. So even the biggest introverts have that side in them. I truly believe so. But you have to tap into it. You cannot be isolated in your house, in your basement, on the screens. You got to get out there. Like, do something. There are events going on. There are apps where there are events purposefully designed so you can go out there and do it. Break through those barriers, right? If it's joining a sports team, sports are an amazing way to interact with other people. An amazing way. Why do you think there's so many movies like that? Because sports are the greatest way to solve problems and to bond with other people and to have that deep social interaction. So join a sports league, right? Whatever the sport you love, whether it's soccer or if it's like baseball or basketball, whatever, join a sports league. Join some pickup. Right? Like, just do some pickup stuff. Meet other people. Get to know some people's names and some people's stories and stuff like that. Like, if you're going to school, go talk to the person you sit next to. Maybe you don't even know the person you sit next to. Talk to them. It's very easy. And the people that you're talking to appreciate it as well. It's very easy. It's very easy to do. Like you'll realize once you kind of break through that first barrier, it's super easy to go and talk to new people and meet new people. And it fills that void up within you, because we all have that desire for social interaction. So instead of being isolated, go out there and push through and break through those barriers, because you'll find that it helps you live a more peaceable life and a more joyous life. And again, you fill a lot of that void that is within you, because we all have that desire for social interaction. But when we're isolated, sure, the dopamine that comes from the screens and from all the things that keep us isolated are good and dandy. But when you're finished, you always feel worse about yourself. And there is a deeper underlying, more spiritual reason why you feel worse about yourself after a few hours of scrolling or a few hours of playing video games, especially if you did it by yourself. It's because we yearn for something a little bit greater than that. So that's my advice. That is my message. That we do all have that extroverted side within us. It is just about breaking that barrier. You'll have that fear, and it will probably be awkward in the beginning, especially if you have been the type of person to isolate yourself for long periods of time. It will be awkward in the beginning, especially if you're meeting a new person. But once you break through that first barrier, it becomes so easy. It's the same, like that's the biggest thing I learned from, for example, door-to-door sales. When I was knocking my first door by myself, it was so nerve-wracking, but even by the end of the day, I was chilling. I already made a sale. I made a sale on my first day, and I was chilling. Obviously, I ended up crushing it, right? By week 3, it was pretty much second nature, what I needed to do, what I needed to say, how I needed to go about it, right? And the whole like objection handling type of thing. And when we went to that social event, like it was a bit of a barrier for us to talk to the first people that we talked to. But once we broke through that initial barrier and actually talked to those people, met people. We went and we talked to a few other people, and it ended up kind of compounding a little bit. So that is how life works, right? When something scares you, when something is fearful, it's the devil's kind of veil trying to stop you from doing it because he knows that it'll be better for you. Social interaction is the same thing, but even with anything in life, if it's scary and if it's very fearful, if you're very fearful about a moment, if you're able to push through that fear once, it becomes exponentially easier the second time. And then it becomes eventually second nature, and it becomes who you are if you do it enough times. For door to door, you knock on enough doors, you talk to enough people, it becomes second nature. When it comes to interacting with other people, you talk to one person, you meet a person, then you meet another person, it becomes second nature, and all of a sudden you're meeting everybody, and all of a sudden you're like literally the sociable guy. Even if you didn't actually think it to be possible, it truly is possible. Because you see what is possible, what your mind is truly capable of, and what you are truly capable of in this specific aspect. But it does apply to everything in life. And I tell you these things because this is exactly what I've went through myself. And life is way better when you got a circle of people around you. When you're talking to other people, when you're going through things, you're experiencing things with other people. When you're by yourself, it is so much more depressing. It is so much more lonely. And that's why there's a loneliness epidemic as well. Maybe I can touch a little bit deeper on that specifically. But it all has to do with you being isolated and you not going out there and being extroverted, falling into your introverted ways. I truly think we have both, but because of all these things that have happened in recent times, we lean way too much on the introverted ways. And I think that shouldn't be that way. It ought not to be that way. We should lean towards our extroverted ways, and we will find that, things will just kind of fall into place for us, and we are all capable of being truly sociable creatures. So it's a very healthy thing. It's a very spiritually cleansing thing to be social with other people. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It just has to be something a little bit more than what you're used to. And getting outside that comfort zone a little bit more, it will help you in your life. It'll help you feel spiritually satisfied, at least in one way or another in your life. And I think the more people get isolated, the more this world will kind of crumble. And the more people talk to others and help others and appreciate others and get out there, the better the world will become. I think it can really be boiled down to that. It can really be that simple in the end. So that's all I got to say. The ultimate message. Go out there and push through that fear. And you'll be surprised as to what you are truly capable of. Whether it be anything in life, right? But specifically when it comes to being social, tap into that extroverted side that is truly within all of us, and you'll be able to push through any and all boundaries, any and all fears that live within you, and it'll be great, and you'll live a great life as a result of it. But a life in isolation is a life of misery. So that's all I gotta say for today, for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you if you're still here. If you're still here, like, it's also a little bit concerning, right? Because you're watching a half-hour podcast episode talking about isolation, but you're probably also doing isolation, right? If you're listening to this in like the gym or you're doing work and stuff, that's good. Good, fine, do it. But if you're literally just sitting there watching this, that's also not good, right? Even if it's a podcast, even if it's good stuff, you actually have to do the action. So your actionable for today is, like, if you're still in your house and you're still watching this, get out the house. Do something, whether it's going to the gym, playing a sport, or just going for a walk. Get out of the house and break those barriers, right? Talk to a person about something. If it's someone walking with a dog, you pet the dog and like what's its name type of thing. It's like, it can be that simple, but that's a little bit better. And that's taking the steps into a better direction than just being isolated. So that's my actionable for you at the end of this episode. Not just being isolated, but actually breaking those barriers. So that's all I gotta say for today. I appreciate you for here as always. Don't kind of let it rub you off the wrong way that you're here and I'm kind of shaming you for watching this episode. Obviously, I still appreciate your support. And like the video and subscribe and follow on Spotify as always. I appreciate any way you can help the show grow through you. If you really appreciate the episode, I appreciate you for being here and for any support that you can bring to this show. But yes, I make an episode of this podcast every day for 365 days. And when it comes to like the whole social thing and the being by yourself thing, I really want to have more people on this show, because I think for the viewer, for you watching, and even for me and for the whole thing, for the whole content, it is so much better with people, multiple people, rather than just myself. But the point is still there. The point still stands. If you have to watch this again, do it. But you know the actionables. You know what you need to do. You have to draw on the strength to be able to do it. But you'll find that that your life will be more fulfilling if you're more sociable, if you're more extroverted versus being super ultra introverted. So that's all I got to say for today. I hope that you really take this message to heart and apply it to your life in one way or another. It can be a super simple and easy thing. You don't have to go and talk about the existential crises in the world to a stranger. You don't have to do that. It can be something super simple, but that if you build up from that, it's way better than being by yourself in your basement. Being a basement dweller is the one thing, I think, that you do not want to be in your life. And it's the one thing that basically will guarantee that you fail in life. So get out there. Be sociable. Be extroverted. Tap into that side. Create those environments where you can tap into that side. And you'll find that your life will improve in many amazing ways. You might meet people that last with you for a lifetime. And you might meet people that come and go, but you might meet people that will last with you for a lifetime. And those things can only happen by you going out there and breaking through those barriers of fear to overcoming any and all adversity, getting outside your zone of comfort, and really making it happen. So that's all I got to say for today. I appreciate you for being here. Again, show your support in any way you can. Watch some of the other episodes I made on this show, obviously. It's 365 Podcast. I'm making an episode every day. There are many great pieces of content. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure there are many other good videos. YouTube is actually going to show you one right now that you're probably going to enjoy as well. So I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow for the next one.